Next on Currents News, Cardinal Dolan holds a Thanksgiving prayer service ahead of an annual turkey giveaway to help those less fortunate. Also tonight, Pope Francis wraps up his Asia trip with a message for college students and the future.
Inside this courthouse, people suffering from mental illness are given a second chance. I'm Emily Drubian, that's ahead.
And prayers for the people of Albania after a deadly massive earthquake strikes near the capital city. Currents News on this Tuesday starts right now. Cardinal Dolan led a Thanksgiving prayer service at St. Patrick's Cathedral today. Mayor de Blasio and members of the interfaith community attended before the annual turkey giveaway in Harlem. Good evening, I'm Ray Mundy. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Catholic Charities of New York, hundreds of families now have everything they need to celebrate Thanksgiving: a turkey, all the trimmings, and even a better understanding of the real meaning of the holiday. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the story from Harlem.
More than 400 people are leaving the Lieutenant Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. Community Center with a full Thanksgiving meal. Without the help of Catholic Charities, the feast that's often synonymous with the holiday wouldn't be possible. Enjoy! Bertha Duncan took her granddaughter Carmel Ebony to get their Thanksgiving meal Tuesday. It's a meal they feel blessed to have, which is why they'll be sharing it.
We're going to be sharing with some friends and another young couple of theirs who have a small child like they do, and we're going to come together and share with them to make them have a happy Thanksgiving. Some of them are coming, their families are not close, so we become family to them.
Even though Duncan's granddaughter is young, she's hoping moments like this will teach her the importance of generosity. It's a lesson she's glad to pass on.
But I want her to know how to share her toys and her cookies and just make her smile, be happy with other children.
For most families, celebrating Thanksgiving with a feast is tradition. But for Mark Durso, he celebrates by giving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
For the last 20 years, Durso's family has donated all of the turkeys given out by Catholic Charities. It's a tradition started by Durso's late mother, Florence. He says the gratitude of the recipients makes his holiday season.
It's the smiles and the appreciation that you get when they come up to you and they thank you. It's a really good feeling. You feel it inside.
Although people come for the food, Catholic Charities hopes they leave feeling a sense of community.
We provide help to people with the meal, but we also try to create a sense of belonging, a sense of hope, where people's lives can be better, that they're part of our community, even if maybe they don't have as much as some of our neighbors.
More than 21,000 pounds of food was distributed for Thanksgiving. However, for many of these families, the Catholic Charities food pantry here at the Kennedy Community Center provides them with assistance all year long. In Harlem, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Tonight, Pope Francis has returned to the Vatican from his trip to Asia. He ended his visit in Japan by telling students at a Catholic university they need to work towards a hope-filled future that is more inclusive of everyone in society. Currents News' Tim Harfman has more on the Pope's final day in Japan.
The Pope's final day in the land of the rising sun wrapped up with a visit to Tokyo's Sophia University. The institution was founded by Jesuits and the first Catholic university in Japan. During his address to students, Francis said they should not only receive an education, but help form a culture that's open to everyone.
In a
society as competitive and technologically oriented as present-day Japan, this university should be a center not only of intellectual formation, but also a place where a better society and a more hope-filled future can take shape.
He told students to use their studies to follow the mission of the university and Catholic values.
No student of this university should graduate without having learned how to choose responsibly and freely what he or she knows in conscience is best. In every situation, even the most complex, may they be concerned that their encounter is just as humane, conscientious, and responsible.
And the Holy Father encouraged the young people to not forget the marginalized as they they go out into the workforce.
El estudio universitario de calidad.
Quality university education should not be the privilege of a few, but constantly informed by the effort to serve justice and the common good, a service to be carried out by each one in the sector in which he or she is called to work. This is a concern that regards everyone.
Students and teachers presented Pope Francis with a significant gift, a sculpture of Canon, the Buddhist goddess of mercy. Many Nagasaki Christians believe she resembles the Blessed Mother, and they used to pray to her without being discovered during persecution. The Pontiff's final day also included a private mass with Jesuits and a visit with elderly and sick priests. Francis is the first pope to step foot in Japan in nearly 4 decades. He fulfilled his lifelong dream of visiting the Asian country while bringing a theme of peace and no nuclear weapons. Tim Harfman, Currents News.
The U.S. bishops backed Pope Francis, who took a strong stance against nuclear weapons at Hiroshima and Nagasaki on Sunday. In a statement from the Committee on International Justice and Peace, they said, quote, "The Catholic bishops of the United States remain firmly committed to global nuclear disarmament. We declared in 1993 the eventual elimination of nuclear weapons is more than a moral ideal. It should be a policy goal." The themes of the papal trip to Asia were religious tolerance and peace and a strong anti-nuclear message. Christopher White, the national correspondent for The Tablet and Crux, joins us to explain more. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be with you.
Absolutely. The Pope said he wants some changes made to the Catholic Catechism to reflect what he had to say in Japan when it came to nuclear weapons. I wanted your insight on that.
Sure. So this past weekend, the Pope visited Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and he talked about 1945 and the use of nuclear weapons there that horrified the world. And he said not only is using nuclear weapons immoral, but owning them is too. And he wants the Catechism to reflect that all nations in the world should move toward unilateral disarmament immediately.
Absolutely. A strong message that he was there at those 2 sites, that the 2 cities to only have atomic bombs put on there.
Powerful images.
Absolutely. The Pontiff also raised some questions about nuclear weapons and the United Nations. What did he have to say about that?
Well, the Pope praised the UN for the work that they do in peace building, but he says when it comes to controlling nuclear weapons, he says often the Security Council is hung up by the veto vote. So if one country votes against a measure, the entire thing is struck down. And he says when it comes to something so sensitive and as important as nuclear weapons, that maybe they should rethink the way the vote system works so that one country can't possess a stronghold on the other countries.
Such important information, especially when it comes to this war on nuclear weapons. While on the Pope plane as well, Chris, returning back to Rome, Pope Francis weighed in on the recent scandals at the Vatican. You could give some more insight on that as well, huh?
Yeah, so he was talking about the financial scandals, which has sort of plagued the past 2 to 3 weeks of his pontificate. And it's a complicated story. It revolves around a property in London that the Vatican was using to invest in. And in the process of this investment, 5 Vatican employees were put under suspension and await Vatican trial. Now, a lot of people said the fact that this happened shows that there's corruption going on. And the Pope said, sure, there may be corruption, we're still trying to figure that out. But the fact that someone from within the system caught this and then reported it to the higher authorities shows that the structures are in place to sort of contain them. And that in itself is proof that the reform within the Vatican and how it handles its finances is working. He says we're not there yet, it's an imperfect system, but we're moving toward measures of greater accountability and transparency. That's the Pope's hope.
All right, as the investigation continues into this incident as well.
Yeah, we'll be following this.
All right. Chris White, national correspondent for The Tablet and Crux, thank you so much for being here and for your insight.
Great to be with you.
The Pope's right-hand man is leaving his post. Monsignor Fabian Petticiccio, who has been serving as Pope Francis's personal secretary for almost 7 years, will leave the position in December to return to his duties at the Vatican's Congregation of Bishops. A papal spokesperson says the change is not personal, but an ordinary administrative decision, explaining the job was, quote, a temporary service. Brooklyn-born Bishop Frank Caggiano has been named the new head of Catholic Relief Services. The head of the Diocese of Bridgeport, Connecticut, will succeed Maronite Bishop Gregory Mansour in the role. Bishop Caggiano said in a statement he is honored to lead the organization and looks forward to helping persecuted Christians around the world. A win for Democrats in court, adding fire to the impeachment inquiry. A federal court shuts down a White House claim that officials are immune from congressional subpoenas. Suzanne Malveaux has the story.
A federal judge ruling former White House counsel Don McGahn must testify before Congress, delivering a blow to President Trump's efforts to stonewall the impeachment inquiry. The decision striking down the Trump administration's previous claims that officials are immune from complying with House subpoenas. In a scathing 118-page decision, U.S. District Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, writing, stated simply, presidents are not kings, adding absolute immunity from compelled congressional process simply does not exist.
We've been defied in our attempts to have proper oversight that the Constitution allows us because of this administration's stonewalling, and so it's good that the judge agreed with us. It's the law. Its oversight is American as apple pie.
The White House says the Justice Department will appeal the decision, adding they are confident that the important constitutional principle advanced by the administration will be vindicated. Back in May, the White House blocked McGahn from complying with a House Judiciary subpoena after the Mueller report revealed he witnessed several instances of Trump attempting to interfere with the Russia investigation. Now, McGahn's lawyer says he'll comply unless a stay is issued. The ruling could factor in House Democrats' push to have other Trump officials like Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and former National Security Advisor John Bolton testify.
I think it's a message to all the witnesses who have obstructed and the White House for telling them not to appear. It's time to show up.
While McGahn could be compelled to appear, the judge's ruling making clear he may still be able to refuse to answer questions, citing executive privilege. Still, House Democrats are working furiously to expedite the impeachment process. Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff writing in a statement, the testimony and documents we have succeeded in requiring reveal a fact pattern that is overwhelming, unchallenged, and damning.
The Intelligence Committee has done the fact-finding. We can't be held up for months at a time through frivolous appeals of very well-reasoned decisions. We've got to move forward.
That was Suzanne Malveaux reporting. McGahn is expected to abide by the decision and appear before the committee. Okay, Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and his senior advisor, has been tapped as project manager for construction of the wall at the Mexico border. The Washington Post reports Kushner has already instituted bi-weekly meetings in the West Wing to receive updates on the progress of construction and funding. Sources within the White House say the president was frustrated by the lack of progress and wanted Kushner to move it along. The president's goal is to erect 450 miles of barriers along the border by Election Day of next year. President Trump won a victory Monday when the Supreme Court temporarily blocked the release of his long-sought tax returns. The Democratic-led House Oversight Committee is seeking his financial documents, including both personal and business records. The court has given the president until December 5th to file a formal appeal. Trump is the first president in more than 4 decades not to release his returns. There's a lot more news coming straight your way, including a compassionate courtroom for those who have gone astray. Details on a unique justice program happening right here in Brooklyn. Then fire and ice, Mother Nature causing all sorts of travel problems for the Thanksgiving getaway. And flames forcing evacuations in California. Tens of thousands of acres are being scorched. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number. It's right there on your screen, 718-517-3122. Stay with us. We'll be right back. It's an alternative approach to justice, and it's happening right here in Brooklyn, a courtroom dedicated to helping those with mental illness who are accused of a crime. Currents News' Emily Druby has the story.
Sounds rarely heard in court.
That's for you. Congratulations.
Applause and congratulations. But here at Brooklyn Mental Health Court, it's become normal. 82. With an estimated 2 million mentally ill people booked into jails every year, alternative health courts have been popping up across the country. They allow people with serious and persistent mental illnesses to be linked with long-term treatment plans instead of being sent to prison. We spoke with Catholic Judge Matthew Demick. He presides over Brooklyn's program.
It's just a different way of working in the court system. Come on up.
It was the first in New York State, and now over 1,000 people have graduated.
But in a small way, I feel I've been given the opportunity to participate in the love that God has for all His creation.
Fishel Sherman is one of those people. The recent graduate used to abuse his children. Today, he says he's a different person.
No question about it. It saved me. I really desperately needed it. And if they would have been in any way differently, I wouldn't have made it.
These types of courts aren't without their criticism, especially when it comes to violent offenders. Many fear having them out on the streets.
I can understand how people might feel that violent criminals should not be given a second chance or a chance to redeem themselves. Over 17 years of doing this, I feel that that's wrong-headed, and I've seen the success of people and their ability to change their lives.
Judge Demick invites the critics to court. That way, they see the program isn't easy. Participants have to stick to a specially designed treatment plan, and they have weekly check-ins with the judge. Demick says moments like this graduation make it worth it.
That's for you.
Their success rate is over 70%.
I can just imagine how many people walked out of here saying, wow, I'm so lucky. I can't imagine, it must be that way. It must have been that way with everybody. This place, saves everybody's lives.
In downtown Brooklyn, Emily Druby, Currents News.
A historic winter storm is already canceling hundreds of flights for the Thanksgiving holiday, and travel experts say millions of Americans could be impacted. Camila Bernal reports.
For millions of Americans planning to travel this Thanksgiving, this is not the forecast they want to see.
Eastern half of the country, all wet. Western half, all white. And we're going to have slow travel tomorrow.
More than 20 million people are under winter weather advisories, watches, or warnings. Hundreds of flights are canceled at Denver International Airport.
It sounded like it was going to be a pretty major storm, so that's why we thought we'd better get here early.
Up to 15 inches of snow could fall there by the end of the day. Drivers in the region feeling the impact. Parts of a major interstate from Colorado to the Nebraska border closed down. And in the Northeast, ferocious winds and rain are expected. Some airlines are waiving change fees ahead of the anticipated delays. Meanwhile, the West Coast is bracing for severe storms that could spark flash floods.
Check their tires, have windshield washer fluid, plenty of gas, dress warm, and just plan for delays.
This as crews in Southern California are battling a new growing wildfire north of Santa Barbara. The fire erupted Monday. Fueled by strong winds, it has burned thousands of acres and sparked evacuations.
Cave Fire is burning under some of the toughest firefighting conditions anywhere in the world. We're at the end of the dry season, so the fuels are some of the driest that we have.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
California is under a state of emergency again as a new fire is sparked in Santa Barbara. The Cave Fire first started late Monday evening and is now spread to over 4,000 acres. Officials are ordering people to evacuate as the flames are heading towards more populated areas. Firefighters from neighboring counties have been called in to help. Dramatic rescues underway tonight after a powerful earthquake struck Albania, killing at least 14. The damage is widespread. Hundreds are injured and many are missing, and officials fear the death toll will rise. The 6.4 quake was centered about 20 miles from the capital city of Tirana. Neighboring Bosnia and Herzegovina were also struck by an earthquake measuring 5.4. All right, still to come on Currents News, a White House tradition dating back to Lincoln, the pardoning of the Thanksgiving turkey. Who will be spared, bread or butter? And once again, Futures in Education is hosting its Spirit of Christmas concert, and this year there's a very special guest. Details next. And please check out one of the latest features in the tablet, our Diocesan Family page. That's where you can send in your photos of your family receiving certain sacraments such as baptism, First Communion, confirmation, and marriage. For more information and to submit your pictures, go to tablet.org/our Diocesan Family. Stay with us. We'll be right back. These Irish boys are coming to Brooklyn. The Irish Tenors, a legendary trio that has toured all over the world for 2 decades, will be the headliners at a concert benefiting Catholic students in the diocese. The spirit of Christmas will put the season of giving into action. The concert is run by Futures in Education, and the proceeds will help inner city students be able to afford the best education money can buy, a Catholic education. Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello is the Vicar for Development in the Brooklyn Diocese. He joins us now to tell us more about this well-anticipated concert. Monsignor Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ray. And first, I want to thank you and have me on your show, and also welcome you to our diocese.
It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to share this space with you. And in terms of this concert, we just heard the Irish Tenors. They're a huge act for this event. How did they get involved?
Well, I've met Ronan Tynan many times, and for the last couple of years, he's been wanting to help us out with the concert. And so he called me up about a year ago, and we worked out having the Irish Tenors come and perform. In fact, this is their 20th anniversary as being together as a group, the Irish Tenors.
Wow.
So we thought that would be a great, event and a great concert.
Other than the Irish Tenors, tell us who else people can expect to see at the concert.
Well, we have a children's choir made up of various parishes and choirs in our diocese. So they're going to be at the show as well, performing. We are helping. The benefits of this goes to Futures in Education, and it helps the children receive the scholarships that they so desperately need.
Yes, absolutely. I know Futures in Education is such a personal mission of yours, and it does some great work. Kind of elaborate more of how much Futures in Education makes a difference for those kids in need.
We have given out over $100 million in scholarships, and we have helped thousands upon thousands of children to receive a Catholic education, and it's so important. First of all, it's a way of passing on our faith, and we teach them to believe in themselves and to realize that they are special, they are loved, and that, they can make a difference in this world, and God wants them to succeed, and God wants them to serve.
All right, a great cause, some great music. Make sure you guys all go and check out this very special concert. Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello, the Vicar of Development here in the Diocese of Brooklyn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and I have a ticket for you, Ray.
All right, sounds good. I'll be there.
Thank you.
And that concert will be on December 17th at 8 p.m. at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. That's on 30 Lafayette Avenue. For tickets, go to futuresineducation.org/events. Finally, tonight, Thanksgiving is only a few days away, and bread and butter are being saved from the table. It's the annual pardoning of the turkey at the White House. As he has done in the past, President Trump says he can only pardon one turkey, and he puts it to a vote asking the public to decide which bird should be saved. But no matter the outcome, he traditionally spares both turkeys in the end. That's all for this edition of Currents News. I'm Ray Mundy. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.